What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the On the Bubble podcast. I'm joined by Evan Rodriguez and Brendon Pricco. Got lots to talk about. We're now in the month of December, so we're now really getting into the meat and bones of the season. Conference play is about to start pretty soon. I'm gonna start off with an icebreaker with you guys. I'm gonna ask you guys we're in the holiday season. What is your guys' favorite holiday?
Favorite
Oh,
holiday?
okay, I like this. Favorite holiday? Man, there's some good ones. Probably honestly Christmas time. I just like spending time with family and getting presents for everybody. It's just fun time. But it's really
I thought you were about to say getting presents.
no. But it's honestly been very warm over here though. It doesn't really feel Christmassy. It kind of sucks, but yeah, Christmas is probably my favorite holiday.
Yeah, I'd say Christmas as well. I can't agree with Evan about it's being warm over here. It's been so far every day in December I've had at least an inch of snow on the ground. And then
I
I think like
wish.
last night, Lily and I and her sister we went to a movie. We got out at like midnight and it was like
Mhm.
freezing walking to the car and check the weather app and like with the wind chill it felt like -5 degrees out. I'm like,
It's
oh
crazy.
yeah, it's been very bitterly cold so far. A little colder than normal for this time of year, but yeah, it's a good first full month of December being home in several years. So it's a good welcome back when Arizona, I'm pretty sure it's I don't know, 70s probably.
Right. I think I have to
Yeah,
agree with you
something like that.
guys. I think I have to agree with you guys. I have to
It's
go
a
with
it's a Christmas
Christmas.
sweep.
It's a Christmas sweep.
It's a Christmas sweep. Let's go.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Um, so yeah, with that little icebreaker, we're going to pick our teams of the week. So each of us will pick a team that we believe had the best week in our eyes. I'll start off with you, Evan. Who was your team of the week?
No, yeah, there are definitely a lot of squads that showed out this week. I was originally gonna say Michigan. They've been on a tear, but then I was looking through our rundown and I was like, damn, Nebraska's they've been doing pretty good and they got a really, really nice win in against Illinois.
Mhm.
Wasn't it a 3-point buzzer beater or something like that? Right?
Yeah.
At the
It
end, it
Mhm.
was,
was
yeah.
crazy. So they've been really good. They got a nice win against Wisconsin Wednesday, I think, by 20, a good comfortable
Mhm.
win against them. And yeah, they've been rolling. They're 11-0 in the Big Ten, and they're a fun team to watch. So they're my team of the week this week.
Yes, sir.
And
Yeah,
I
man,
think
I
it's
wonder
yours
who
too,
who
right,
picked
Brendan?
them.
Right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is. It is one of my sleepers. I think them, Iowa, and USC. So I'm feeling pretty confident with those three that they've all performed. Well, USC was ranked there for a little bit. I think
Mhm.
they fell out of the rankings, but
Yeah, kind of fell off.
I mean they lost one game. I don't think they fell off yet, but yeah, they fell out of the
Lo-
rankings.
Lost to UW.
They
Yeah,
did lose to
they
UW.
did lose to them.
My team of the week is Kansas. Kansas, they opened the year early loss to Carolina. They have three losses on the year, all to good teams, all the blue bloods. I think it's Carolina, Duke, and UConn. But this week they got a 20-point home win against a very solid Missouri team, well coached. And then yesterday, yeah, it was yesterday going on the road at NC State, quad one game, win in overtime. Have some support outside of Darren Peterson. He came back. He had 17 in both games, but like we were talking before the show, like he left that NC State game early with some more hamstring tightness. So
Yep,
we'll see how healthy he remains. But Council being able to step up, have 36, and I think kind of what we've touched on throughout the
that's
weeks with
crazy. He
it
was
is
what?
crazy.
26% 3-point shooter going into the game. He was like 5
Mhm.
for 27 and he hit 9 threes. It's
Yeah,
crazy to think
that's
about.
absurd. It's like Divine Guvuchu at Michigan State, making like six threes all
Uh,
last year, and then he made 5 for 5 against Penn State, something like that. But yeah, I think losing him for a bit, they were able to tread water there and not lose any games that they needed to win. And it's guys have had to step up and grow into more scoring roles, more aggressive offensive roles. And now that they are healthy, maybe um, I think it makes them just a more well-rounded group, especially with Arizona and Iowa State look great, but Houston hasn't looked like Houston level. So I think there's an
Yeah.
opening for a Kansas to make a run in the Big 12, especially depending on how the schedule shakes out with these super conferences. The schedules are not balanced at all in
Mhm.
these 16 plus team conferences. So I mean, I think that they're my team of the week. They had a good week, big home win, and then getting it down the road, and that'll pay off for them in March, taking care of business in non-conference.
Yes, sir, yes, sir. I like the picks. My team of the week, I went with Arkansas. Um, got a nice win over Texas Tech yesterday, and then last week had a nice win against Louisville. But I really think they're starting to put pieces together. The only two losses were against Michigan State and Duke, and those two losses were super, super close. I think everything's starting to mesh for them after a bit of a bumpy November where they had some close games against Stanford and Winthrop, even though they won. But I think they're starting to put it together. They're really talented. They can make some noise in the SEC. An SEC that looks kind of bumpy so far this season. So yeah, those are
Most
our teams of
definitely.
the week. Yes, sir. And now our next segment, we're gonna go over this week's AP poll. It's currently Sunday, so the AP poll is a little outdated because now games have been played. But this week's AP poll, week 6, the trend is that every eventual champion has fell within the top 12 of the week 6 AP poll since 2004. Um, the 12 of this week's AP poll are Arizona, Michigan, Duke, Iowa State, UConn, Purdue, Houston, Gonzaga, Michigan State, BYU, Louisville, and Alabama. Um, so yeah, my question to you guys is, which like teams, 2 or 3 teams, do you think have the best shot out of those 12 at becoming eventual champions? And then my second question is, are there any teams outside of that top 12 you think can possibly beat that streak?
Okay. So 3 teams,
Yeah, maybe
I
like
would have
two or
to
three,
say
like however you want to choose.
yeah. Um, I would say definitely Arizona and Michigan for sure. I mean, they're
Mhm,
2 absolute wagons, man. They're completely playing insane ball right now, so gotta give probably them 2 the looks. And
mhm,
then 3rd, I would say that could give them the best trouble, I would probably honestly say UConn. They've been playing really great. They just barely lost to Arizona. I feel like
mhm.
they can match up pretty well against both of them. And they have the coaching to do it, they have the team to do it, so I feel like they could, also win it this year. And then outside of the top 12, let me see. Um, shoot. Honestly, maybe St. John's if they really get it together, but I'm kinda worried about them right now because they have so much talent on that
Right,
squad, and Rick Pitino's a good coach, and I feel like if they really get the strings going, they could really be kind of concerning to teams, but they've been kinda worrisome as of late, so
right.
those are my takes on that.
Yeah, I want to be repetitive with listing the best teams in the country in that top 12. I think Arizona and Michigan have been the best 2 teams in the country so far, and those are 2 teams personally I dislike heavily, but I don't think there's an argument in that they're Arizona has 5 ranked wins as of yesterday. They've both of those teams have won some lopsided games. They've made great teams look horrible. So it's hard to not mention them. I have concerns with both of them, and when it comes to March, just purely in the sense of uh, you know, Tommy Lloyd has had great Arizona teams, and they have struggled in March. Now, uh, obviously, this could be different. This is probably at least the best any of his teams since he's gotten there have looked. But when we're talking about winning a national championship, a lot of we see a lot of fantastic regular season teams not get it done. And so one thing you look at is the coaching and kind of how their styles of play match up for those games, in the second weekend and first weekend off 48 hours of prep and that adjusting and how heavy do you rely on certain aspects that can go cold. Arizona doesn't rely on the 3 ball, and so that I think leans into their favoring a tournament format where you're not worried about a cold night because they really don't shoot a ton of threes. I mean, I think they beat Florida that first night. I don't think they made a three. Um, and Michigan looks great too. And then I do agree with Evan on UConn, and part of that is what I was talking about coaching is you have a coach who's done it not once but twice, and so anytime. depending on the draw that they get, like who's up there as a 1 or 2 seed, it's hard to not look at them as favorites. And if I have to throw in somebody outside of there, I don't know. I think, I wonder if Purdue or Michigan State or Michigan, if any of those three can break that Big Ten drought for winning the title. But looking at the rest of the top 12, BYU and Alabama, concerned about those play styles and their defense. Louisville, I don't know in terms of if Pac-Kelsey has enough tournament experience to trust to make a run. But then again, Ty Golden last year, so I know there's exceptions. Purdue I was really high on, but then it's kind of like if you're Purdue, if you didn't get it done already, like are you ever going to with the teams that they've had over the years? And then Gonzaga, I really like Gonzaga, but I don't think any tournament champ has had a game in the regular season where they lost by however many they lost to Michigan. Like they just to get blown up by that much. I don't think a tournament champ has done that. So it would be new, which happens, but and then Iowa State, I don't know yet how heavily I trust them in March. I think TJ Otzelberger is a great coach. I think they're elite and they have great wins, but that's kind of how I look at the top 12. I don't know if I'm missing anyone I didn't talk about. Duke can. I get worried about how heavy they rely on Boozer offensively. I don't know. Duke, like I was at the Michigan State Duke game and they beat Michigan State. It was a great win for them. They're vastly more talented than Michigan State. I wasn't like super impressed by them there, which sounds they won and they got the job done, but I don't think Michigan State played very well and it was still a very close game. But Duke has the potential. They have the guys. I don't know if Shire's at that level yet, but we'll see.
We'll see. Anyone outside that top 12, Brandon, that you would think can maybe break it, you think? The streak?
That can. I think
Yeah.
I don't hate the St. John's pick by Evan, also because Pitino's done it before and they have dudes and they haven't performed so far this year, but they have a lot of talents. They have a lot of potential. That's one I agree with him. I also look at Kansas. I was just talking about. I think Bill Self has made runs before. He's won it before, and they are also very talented. I think guys are stepping up and growing into roles now without Peterson, and you get him back, and they can be one of the best teams in the country. And then the other one, Ifion, is Arkansas. They have the talent to do it. They also are playing a tough schedule. They're seeing a lot of difficult teams that I think can help come in March. Calipari, especially with his latest Kentucky flameouts in the tournament, isn't known to be trustworthy in that setting, but he has won in March before with Kentucky and Memphis, so it's not to say he can't do it again, despite the recent history. So those are kind of the three that I look to with potential there, but it's tough to win it all. I don't know. There's a reason that this is how many years has it?
Right,
20,
like
21
21,
years?
yeah.
Right, and there's a reason for that. So
Right. I think I pretty much agree with everything you guys said. I said for me, outside of the top two, like you guys said, UConn, they're so balanced. Then Iowa State I like too. Similar to UConn, really balanced. They can beat you in a multitude of ways. Super well coached. Outside of the top 12 for me, I think I'm similar to you, Brennan. I said Kansas and Arkansas. They're really intriguing. I feel like Kansas is a team that kind of is underseeded right now because of like they dropped those games early in the season to UNC and then Duke. And now we've seen them with Darren Peterson back. They're kind of dangerous. They, like you said, you've had guys who have stepped up now and really found their roles. And then, like you said, Arkansas, super talented, have a really nice guard play. I think Louisville is interesting too. I think that's really valid to have defensive concerns, but really fun offense. Maybe that they could shoot their way into games. But I think you guys pretty much said it. Yeah, you guys pretty much said it, honestly. So yeah, I'll move on to the next segment. Trending up and down. So pretty much we're just going to be discussing and breaking down teams so far that have been either trending up or trending down. We're now in the point of the season where we kind of got a good read on all these teams. They played about 8 to 10 games every team has played. So starting off, we really kind of touched on it already. Arizona and Michigan, kind of 1A and 1B. We kind of already touched on it. So anything you guys have left to say about these two teams?
I hate that they're so good.
Yeah. No, yeah, this is like Pricco's two most hated teams right now. It's kind of funny. But yeah, Braden Burries, the other day, 20 points, second half against Bama. Finally arrived. He kind of was off to a slow start at the beginning of the year, but now he's starting to get that groove. Just dropped a light 20 in the second half. And that was crazy because Cole Pete kind of had an off day. So it was nice for him to step up. So that's another piece of the puzzle that you got to kind of be concerned about if you're going to face Arizona. And that just makes them just that much better. So, yeah.
Yeah, both these teams are elite and have been running through teams. Michigan had some close games early in the year, and I mean they've turned into like the Monstars since. But and I don't know, maybe there is a world where they do come back down to earth a little bit.
Right.
We haven't seen necessarily the same kind of flaws, or not even flaws, but Arizona's been throughout the entirety of the season much more dominant than Michigan. I don't think Arizona's really played a close game, like at least not a close game against a team that they're supposed to beat by a wide margin, like Michigan did earlier with TCU and Wake Forest. So I feel like they just feel very consistent. They've been talented over the years under Tommy Lloyd, but I think they're super just calm in a way, if that makes sense. They do what they're supposed to do. Guys are able to step up. They're a really just well-oiled machine. Last couple of years when they had Caleb Love, he was kind of erratic. You had some hot and cold where they just feel super, super leveled out. They don't rely too much on outside scoring. They're big, they're athletic, they play well together. I mean, I hate saying it, but between both these teams, they've been incredibly impressive. And I don't know really when either of their first loss is going to come. I know Michigan kind of has a little bit of a break until I think I saw Matt Norlander say he doesn't think they're losing until like February, based on their schedule. So, yeah.
Right. I think you guys pretty much said it. Braden Burries has pretty much arrived to Arizona. Like you said, Pricco, Arizona, they're so balanced. They're super deep. And I think you made a great point about how they're just super calm. I think that kind of starts with their captain, Jaden Bradley, a guy who's been, really great in crunch time. I think that you mentioned they're really big. They are like one of the best rebounding teams in the country. I was looking at the Torvik stats, and then I saw a tweet like Toby Awaka, he's an animal down low. They have really great size. And like you said, their 3-point rate is one of the lowest in the country. I think it's the lowest out of all high major teams. Like they really don't
I believe it.
rely on it. Yeah. So and then with Michigan, I think my thoughts on them is ever since we had our concerns about them, funnily enough, it's
They just
perfect
shut us
timing.
up.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
they saw the
So
vids,
that's
bro.
right, exactly. I think they did. So yeah, but it's pretty much 1A, 1B. In terms of Michigan, I feel like the only thing they do have a trip to the Pacific Northwest in mid-January, which maybe could give them trouble. They don't go to the LA schools, but like you said, made a point before, Pricco, those West Coast trips, so those cross-country trips, sometimes they're trap games. So maybe we'll see. And yeah, moving on to another top 5 team, UConn Huskies. We kind of touched on them already, but any thoughts on them so far? They're trending up as well. They had some nice wins over the past couple of weeks over Kansas on the road, Florida on a neutral site, and Texas at home. Currently 10-1. What are your guys' thoughts on the Huskies?
No, yeah, they've been great. They've been kind of as advertised. They just lost that close game to Arizona. But other than that, yeah, they've been great. I love Silas Demery. He's a great guard for them. Alex Caraban's great for them, always has been. And then their big guy, was it Terrace Reed, right?
Terrace Reed, yeah.
Yeah. He's a dog, so. But yeah, they've just been doing their thing. They face Butler, what is it, in 2 days, who currently leads the Big East, actually, 1-0 in the conference. So shout out to Butler. Yeah. So, but yeah, they're
Yeah.
a really good team. So
Right. One of the
Yeah.
funnier things I see on Twitter is like, people are like, "How's the air down there?" After like one it like they're like 1-0. So
that's funny.
yeah. So yeah.
I think with UConn, they're not as like everybody's talking about Michigan and Arizona, rightfully so. Duke is getting up there too because they haven't lost and they played a tough schedule too. But I think UConn really, because they don't have that flawless record, they thought of as a tier below. But their only loss was to Arizona, and they did not have Terrace Reed, who with him maybe that game goes differently, maybe it doesn't. But then they didn't have Berlin Mullins either, and he's back, and I think so. When with UConn healthy, they in my mind are absolutely on that same tier with Michigan and Arizona. I think I would take all three of those in terms of like I would take all three of those over Duke on a neutral site. Those are my top three when healthy, just in terms of not necessarily looking at resume or anything, but just saying how good I think they are when they're clicking. And yeah, you're absolutely right, trending in the right direction. They've played a good schedule. They have some key wins. They're battle tested going into the now not super deep Big East this year. I don't think anyone really comes close to them in that conference this year. Especially with St. John's kind of underperforming so far. But yeah, they're in a good position.
Right. I think I agree with everything you guys said. Super UConn's super balanced, super deep. Especially when you compare them to maybe some other teams in that top 10. And I like that point you made. If they played Duke, I think I would favor them too. I don't know how Duke fans would react to that, but even their bench has given them some great contributions. Malachi Smith, Eric Ryba, in Terrace Reed's absence, he was super good. And like you said, Braylon Mullins coming back, he's been great. Just another chess piece to add. So yeah, super deep, and like you said, I don't think anyone's gonna really test them honestly in the Big East. They're probably gonna drop a couple games. Obviously conference play things can get weird, but yeah, I think they should probably run away with the conference. And yeah, they're dangerous. Super well coached. So yeah. Moving on to another team, kind of segueing that into Duke, trending up. They've currently undefeated, currently 10-0. Over the past couple of weeks, they added a win over Florida at home, and then Michigan State on the road. The game you're at, Brandon. Both actually really close games. Duke has played some pretty close games so far, and they've been able to pull them out. But yeah, what are your guys' thoughts on Duke so far?
No, yeah, Duke's a great squad, but I don't think they can really, like we mentioned earlier, they can't rely heavily that much on Cameron Boozer come March and all that, because teams are going to give you different looks on defense, and they're going to take Cam Boozer away, and they're going to have to try to find another way to score. So yeah, I'm kind of getting worrisome about that. And guard play also is kind of a concern. Isaiah Evans kind of cooled off, but he's still there a little bit. Caleb Foster also is not the best at he's not a very good scoring point guard, I would say. So yeah, there's some concerns with Duke, but they're still a solid squad. But I would say they need to find other ways other than Cameron Boozer to score if they really want to make a run in March. So
Yeah, and I agree with Evan, and maybe I'm being overly critical of Duke. It's just kind of it feels like you're when you're playing basketball and there's a guy who is getting all layups and you look up and he's like 20 or 25 and it's just like the quietest 20 25 that you've seen, and that's kind of how like Duke feels like. You check back in and they haven't lost yet, and they beat this team like but they're doing it like quietly, if that makes sense. They haven't, and that also I think it's just maybe an impact of what Arizona and Michigan have done. I think we're getting numb to teams, those tier teams beating ranked opponents by 20, and that hasn't been Duke, and that's okay. It's but I wouldn't put them on the same level. I think they're missing something on the wing. Like Boozer is great, and I struggle with the last name every time, so we're just gonna call him Patrick. Down low, because he's an athletic freak. His size is huge, and he was really a problem in the Michigan State game. he's out there looking gigantic, like a different athlete compared to anyone else in that game. But yeah, Isaiah Evans is a fantastic shooter, and he has the capability to be a scorer. But I would like to see him be more aggressive, look for more plays off the dribble. Caleb Foster is a very, very good point guard. Caleb Foster is not the guy. You need someone on the perimeter where you feel confident that they can, beat guys off the dribble consistently. They can get you a bucket consistently. Right now, you're relying on Boozer, and it's easier to limit a good scoring big like that than a good scoring guard. You just have more options to play it. You can help down, you can stunt, you can double them. Where someone on the perimeter, you clear out and get them some sets. You can leave them on an island more. Like it's just tougher for a defense to really focus in on unless they have like elite defender out there. And so I think that's kind of what they're missing to take them to the next level. And who knows, maybe it is in Isaiah Evans to, become that a little bit more, be more aggressive off the dribble. Because he's a fantastic shooter and he's really dangerous off the catch and coming off ball screens. He hit a big one late against Michigan State, where it looked like it could have been an illegal screen, but that's fine. But that was kind of what ended up putting Michigan State away. And so I think that's kind of what they're missing that takes them to that Arizona, UConn, and Michigan tier. But they're doing what they're supposed to. They're probably not favored to lose another game on their schedule as we enter ACC play. Maybe on the road at Louisville. They play Michigan on neutral site in February, late February. That's so random.
Yeah.
That's exciting. I don't know what that is for. That's super random, but that would be a fantastic game. And maybe they'll prove us wrong there. But I mean, yeah, so far Arkansas by single digits, Florida by 1 at home, and Florida hasn't been great. Michigan State on the road is their best win. And they only scored 66, and Michigan State's good defensively, but still, like, my concern for them is the offense if Boozer doesn't get going, and Boozer didn't get going for the whole first half. That's why they struggled so much there. But yeah.
Right. I think you guys touched upon it, pretty much everything that I had too. I think, Boozer, he's playing like a player of the year, but, to be overly reliant on him, I don't know what that outlook is maybe going on deeper in this season. But you guys pretty much said it. I mean, I think I want to see more out of Isaiah Evans, like you said, Brandon, him being more on the ball. But yeah, I think their front court's really good, but I think one of those guards has to step up and really separate themselves. And we haven't really seen that yet, but there's still a lot of season left, so who knows? Maybe we'll see. Moving on to another team, another top 5 team, Iowa State. They picked up a really, really impressive win last weekend over Purdue, at Purdue, and then this week they beat their in-state rival Iowa at home. What are you guys' thoughts so far on Iowa State?
Yeah, they've been solid all around. I haven't really had a chance to really watch any of their games, but yeah, they're looking great. A good win against Purdue absolutely killed them, which is insane. So that's definitely an eye-opener. And then killed their rivals. Didn't kill them, but just beat them at home. So yeah, they're looking like a good ball club, and I'm going to have to do a little bit of research on them this next couple of weeks because they're looking pretty good.
Yeah, I was at Michigan State Duke during that Purdue game, so I have no clue what really happened there. I don't know if either you were watching. I remember being like for Purdue to lose at home like that is just simply unheard of. I think it was probably their biggest home loss, maybe I don't know how long, but yeah, I would be curious to see. Anthony, I don't know if you watched that. I was at Michigan State Duke, so I did not see that game, and so I don't know if I'm the best to talk about Iowa State because that's the best they've looked all year.
I think I had seen a clip. I was kind of in and out of that game. I had like a split screen of Duke and then that Purdue Duke in that game. I think it was more just Iowa State obviously played really good, but some of it was obviously to Purdue didn't have a great shooting night. I think I saw a clip. Someone had like a great film breakdown, how Iowa State was guarding Purdue's screening action on the top of the key, and then like they would kind of leave that strong side corner open. So then Purdue was they would leave like Lawyer open in the corner. So then Purdue was like giving it to him, and then just they couldn't really make it. So Purdue had a cold shooting night, but Iowa State I think they're super well balanced. Joshua Jefferson, their four-man, he's looking like an All-American out there. He's really shooting the ball well. He's looking like a stretch big and a guy that can really do it all. A guy that I've been really impressed with is Killian Torrey, freshman shooting guard next to Timmy Lipsey. He's been an excellent sidekick to him. Um, I saw I saw Ryan Hammer. He made a comparison of Killian Torrey to Davion Mitchell, a guy I like, one of
Mm,
Evan's favorite players.
yeah.
So
King's
that's a
legend.
that's a
King's
real big
legend, Davion
weapon.
Mitchell.
And then we know how good like Timmy Lipsey is. So that's like to add the guy a guy next to him. But yeah, they looked really good. They're super well coached. I'm interested to see how they'll play in Big 12 play because we know how good the Big 12 has looked so far. I think we'll learn a lot more about them so far in conference play, especially when they play games on the road. You know, they go to Kansas, they go to Arizona, they go to BYU and Baylor. So that'll be interesting to see. But they look really good so far. They're super well balanced.
Yeah, the Big 12 Houston hasn't looked as great as they were anticipated, but then Arizona and Iowa State have kind of replaced that. Kansas has been, I think actually Kansas has probably been a little bit better than people thought. And then it's just been, at least with the non-conference play, the Big 12 is like deeper than it was expected to be. So that conference is going to be, some of the matchups we're going to get should be a lot of fun.
Right. I mean, even like in the bottom half of the Big 12, like you have like teams like no one really expected to do anything. Like Colorado's like 8-2 or something like that. They were like
No, yeah, there've been a
8-0.
lot of surprising teams.
Dude, yeah.
It's been cool.
So
Arizona State is up to 49 in the net, so I mean that's a quad one game for teams now on the road and if on neutral site. And Colorado's a quad one now on the road. Like I don't think there's many road games that aren't quad one. I think UCF is as well.
Yeah,
TCU.
yeah.
I think maybe just Utah.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's a little foreshadowing. Moving on to some more like break it deeper teams, not really in the top 10 teams anymore, but Virginia, they're a team that's now climbed into the top 25. Over the past couple of weeks, they got a win over Texas on the road, and Dayton on a neutral site. They're currently 9-1, 21st in the net, 21st in Torvik, and 23rd in KenPom. 3-1 in quad 1 and 2 games. Yeah, they've been trending upwards. What are you guys' thoughts so far in Virginia?
No, yeah,
I think
yeah. Go ahead, Pricco. Go ahead. You can go.
I just think their play style shift now is crazy because they don't play like the Virginia we're used to. They shoot a lot more threes. They have a lot of guys shooting threes. I think they have
no more Tony Bennett ball.
Right. And I think it's great for the conference that they're having a unexpected team step up. The ACC's been thought of as being a little bit down last few years, but that was kind of what I had to say about them. The main thing is it's just from ignore the cat. From a college basketball standpoint, it's funny, not funny, but just interesting watching the shift in style of play, and it's just not the Virginia we're used to.
Right.
No, yeah, I've had to agree with Pricco on that one. No more Tony Bennett ball here. We can go up and let that thing fly. And this is how I like to play basketball. So yeah, they've been a solid squad, and I see you have some questions here for our thing. What is it saying? Sorry.
No, you're good.
Oh, a route for them to win the ACC. I don't think so. I think Duke and Louisville, I think, are just a little bit better than them. UNC, maybe I think they could pass. So I think they could, ceiling-wise, be third in the ACC at best. That's my take on that.
Is it me or did we lose Evan? Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can.
But you're back now. You froze. Yeah, you froze there for like 10 seconds.
Okay. But yeah, what I'm saying is I think their ceiling is third in the ACC behind Duke and Louisville. I think they can pass UNC, though.
Yeah, I don't see them competing with Duke, Carolina, or Louisville. I don't think they're as talented. And at the end of the day, like that's just a huge barrier for them to overcome. It looks good. They haven't had a huge test yet. At best, I mean, that Texas on the road, that's a good win, and the way they did it is what makes it most impressive. Not just winning, but they won pretty handily. But other than that, they haven't like played anyone even close to like a Duke or a Louisville or Carolina. I think I put them kind of even with NC State right now in
Mm.
that maybe like 3 through 5 tier in the conference. But I think they have a favorable ACC schedule, and
Right.
so that can always open doors. It is back heavy. The last 5 games of the year, they end with Miami, NC State, Duke, Wake Forest, and Virginia Tech, and um, you know, Duke, NC State, Wake Forest, Miami. Those teams will be in top half of the ACC.
Uh-huh.
At least Wake Forest is kind of been surprising. They've played a lot of teams tough so far, and so they could be in the running there. Um, and yeah, I'm interested to see. They have a stretch early or no, about mid to late January where they go at Louisville, at SMU, home against Carolina, and then at Notre Dame. And that I think will kind of if they can go like 3-1 there, that opens the door for them. But we'll see. But they've
Mm.
looked good.
Right. Like you guys said, fun offensive team. 5 guys with a minimum of 10 3-point attempts are shooting above 40% from three. So that kind of says it all. And like their one loss is to Butler, which I think you said, Evan. Butler has been kind of decent this year, actually.
Yep.
So that loss is aging pretty well actually. So I don't know if there's a path. I think maybe just because, like you said, Brendan, like the conferences, like the schedules are just so unbalanced. But yeah, we'll see. I don't know. Maybe a good value bet if you're a betting man that they win the conference. But we'll see. Fun offense. Things can get interesting in the ACC. I think it's a really interesting ACC. You got a lot of competitive teams, especially in the middle portion.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of another really fun team that has been surprising, Nebraska ball. One of Brendan's sleeper
Nebraska
Basketball.
one of Brendan's sleeper picks that is
Exactly.
really aging super well. Over the past couple of weeks, they beat Creighton at home, beat Wisconsin to begin this week, and then beat Illinois on a crazy buzzer beater like Evan mentioned earlier. Currently 11-0, 12th in the net, 22nd in Torvik, and 20th in KenPom, 5-0 in quad 1 and 2 games. What are your guys' thoughts on Nebraska?
I'll let you go, Pricco, because it was your sleeper team.
This is the best Nebraska team in school history. Already, I think their best team ever was an 8 seed in the NCAA tournament. They have 2 tournament appearances ever. I think those numbers are right. They were an 11 seed on Tim Miles, and they were an 8 seed a few years ago. The last 3 games in Torvik, their game scores have been 99, 99, and 98. And those are that Creighton by 21, Wisconsin against by 30. I don't care if it was at home by 30 against should be decent Wisconsin team, and then winning at Illinois. It's super impressive. I mean, my grandparents are from Nebraska. I was with him at lunch, and he's like, that might be their best win ever. Is that kind of win. They had 2 bye games before getting back into conference play. January 2nd, home against Michigan State.
Dude,
That game that's a circled one. That's gonna be fun, and they have the chance there at home to get a huge win. Torvik right now projects them to be a 4 or 5 seed in the tournament. They with a projected record of 24-7. Like Nebraska ball is here. They're fun. Buy stock now before it's too late. I don't know. Are they ranked or they were just barely?
they were
They're
like
23rd.
23rd, yeah.
23rd? Yeah. Buy stock now before it's too late. I was on early. That's all I'm gonna say.
No, yeah, I have them down as the silencers because they absolutely silenced that crowd in Illinois. So, but yeah, this is, like you said, a very fun team to watch. And again, a very impressive win at a very hard place to play at, again, in Illinois, like I said. Yeah, keep an eye on Nebraska, man. They're here. They're here to stay
Right.
this year.
Dude, like I agree with you guys. Fred Hoiberg is cooking. Yeah, I think this week was like their litmus test. Dude, and they like went undefeated. So I mean, they could really make some noise in that Big Ten. I think their fans are gonna be rocking whenever they play at home. So they're gonna have a real home court advantage. That's really exciting. To have a team that historically isn't the best to now all of a sudden go on a really nice start. That's super exciting. That's great for the sport too.
Yeah, I mean, they could. I mean, there's a path there. They're not losing until end of January at Michigan. No, I'm kidding. I mean, they got some tough ones, but they have I think they beat Michigan State in that home game coming up. We'll see, but yeah, I'm intrigued by Nebraska ball.
Basketball. Yes, sir. Another fun team. Now moved on to the Big 12. Arizona State. The
Wow.
past couple of weeks got wins over Oklahoma on a neutral site and Santa Clara on a neutral site. Currently 9-2, 49th in the net, 71st in Torvik, and 63rd in KenPom. 4-2 in quad 1 and 2 games. What are your thoughts on the Sun Devils?
I'll let you go again, Pricco, because I wasn't able to watch this last game. So
I mean, I think Mo Odom might be the most maybe one of the most important players in the conference when you look at how much he means to Arizona State and how much he makes them go. Just his ability to be a focal point on offense, whether he can score and was one of the best college basketball's assist leaders of active players. So when you have a guy, you have a lot of great pass first point guards, but you have a guy who's pass first, but then can take over, like we saw against well, the Texas game, that was the one where he had like 36, I think, in Maui. And yeah, they've answered the call with Test. Their only losses are close to Gonzaga, who I think is fantastic, and then close to USC on the third day in Maui. The UCLA game is huge. That'd be the chance for well, I guess Santa Clara right now is not a quad one win. I think when I look, they're like 51st in the net. So if that gets to top 50, I believe it's quad one. But that was the game that I was worried about. I won't have the ASU bias, but just you're in an empty gym and Henderson, Santa Clara is very good. Santa Clara, like whenever they're playing a high major, like they have that game circled, and it's of course Herb Sendek. He got fired from Arizona State, so for him on a personal level, like that's has to be one of your biggest games of the year because how great would it be to beat the school that fired you and do it at a program with less resources and things of that nature. And so for ASU to fight back down 19, second largest comeback in program history, that shows a lot too. And especially with the Big 12, there's going to be highs and there's going to be lows, and their ability to keep their heads up and fight. I think they're a really fun team. UCLA is huge for them. I think UCLA hasn't looked that great, so I think there's an opportunity here, but it is on the road. But if they can finish non-conference play strong, Big 12, you have games you're going to lose. It's just the nature of it. It doesn't help that your rival's the best team in the country. But I think there's a path. I think when I looked earlier, they have a 15% chance of the tournament according to Torvik, and that's up from like 0 basically at the beginning of the year based on the preseason expectations. Eventually, too, the metrics will start to adjust. The net of those three listed, the net's the one that takes in the resume the most. And so Torvik and KenPom will start to adjust. I think the defense needs to improve. They gave up 52 in the first half to Santa Clara. That's been their weak point is the defense. They can be kind of slow on rotations, and some guys get beat way too easily on the perimeter. But they're a very fun watch.
Sir.
Oh yeah, like you said, these players have a lot of grit, man. They're just such a gritty team, and they were really overlooked coming into the season. Like they had them ranked last, I think, a little bit in the Big 12, right, or somewhere close, damn near.
So
are they gonna win it like football did when they were ranked last?
Yeah, that was shout out to that squad.
Kenny.
Anyways, yeah, it's been very surprising and a very nice eye opener, and very big fan of Anthony Johnson. Pig goes oink oink. So
Pig Glizzy.
he's been balling. So
He has been. Like you guys said, super fun team. I think when I was looking at their stats, looking at Torvik, like looking at their team history, like they can really shoot the ball. I think that was like looking at some like the team history. You can see like the past couple of years. So right now they're 20th in 3-point percentage. In the past 4 seasons, they were 78th, 237, 273rd, and 308th. So like it's kind of a contrast of like recently, like I think that was one of their weaknesses. The shot making, sometimes it can get stagnant at times, but they can really shoot the ball. Like, I mean, like you said, like they were down as much as 19. The offense was able to get back into it. like you said, Brendan, like the Big 12 is going to be a gauntlet. It's going to be super tough, but if they can just try to avoid as much bad losses as possible, maybe pluck off a couple of big conference wins, that they'll put themselves in contention to make the tournament. Yeah, but that UCLA game is a big one on the road. It's a big one.
Yeah, circled. We're ready.
Circled. Hey, Tyler Bill though has looked really good, Evan.
Yes, sir. Big T-Bill. Yeah, he played really good against Gonzaga.
He did. Yeah, moving on to another surprising team, keeping on with the trend, Seton Hall. The past couple of weeks, they have some wins over Kansas State on the road, and then Rutgers at home. Currently 10-1, 38th in the net, 53rd in Torvik, and 50th in KenPom. 2-1 in Quad 1 games. They have no Quad 2 games played. Yeah, what are your guys' thoughts on Seton Hall, and what's your outlook on them? And like we said, it's been pretty weak Big East so far.
Yeah, they've been pretty decent, some light. Some 10-1, some light. Do I think they can keep it up in the Big East with UConn and St. John's? No, I really don't think they can compete with them. But they're looking nice right now, so props to them. But yeah, I don't really see them doing a whole lot in the Big East, really. So
I think there's an opening for them to take that third place spot and finish top 3 in conference that usually has at least three teams in the tournament. They took care of business overall in Maui. That USC game was really, really tight, but that's another team that came out of Maui with some momentum similar to Arizona State we were just talking about. But Shaheen Holloway's a great coach. I think they have a lot of opportunity, especially with how they've handled non-conference. There's going to be a lot of chances in conference play for just to keep racking up wins, just how the Big East has looked. I don't know if they can compete with UConn. I think, if they get a St. John's at home, that's a game that they can win. But outside of UConn and St. John's, I feel good taking Seton Hall over maybe any other Big East team. So they're definitely moving in the right direction considering where they were the last couple years.
Yeah, I agree with what you guys said. Their calling card is really on the defensive end. I think they're like top 10 in like pretty much every like defensive metric that Torvik has. That's super impressive. And like you said, Brendan, their only real 10-1 only loss was to USC, and that was a super close game. So yeah, I think when I think about Seton Hall, like you made a point, Pricco, on our episode before Feast Week, how those multi-team events can like really either like derail or like catapult a team's season. And I feel like what we're seeing with Seton Hall is like, it seems like Maui really catapulted their season. They got a really big opening win in Maui against NC State, a team that like everyone had thought it was NC State versus the field in Maui. And then they were able to play USC really tough. So I think Maui really catapulted their season. So I think, like you said, they could really finish competitively in the Big East, a pretty open Big East so far this year.
I mean, you mentioned that with Maui. I think we're seeing 3 winners come out of there with Seton Hall, ASU, and USC who won Maui. But then the 2 losers in terms of expectations, who maybe it is derailing a little bit, is Texas and NC State, and we'll see if they bounce back. But yeah, those only 3 days, but it can hurt you or it can help you.
Right. Exactly. Moving on to now SEC team. We talked about them a little bit earlier, but Arkansas, already touched upon them earlier. So, but they defeated Louisville last week, and then now Texas Tech yesterday. Currently 8-2, 19th in the net, 20th in Torvik, 25th in KenPom, 2-2 in Quad 1 games. The only losses came against Duke and Michigan State, which were all super close. What are your thoughts on Arkansas so far?
I talked about them earlier with the chance. When we're talking about a chance of a team that's outside the top 12 that could maybe has the potential at least to win a title. They're the talent to do it, and I talked about them a lot there, so I won't get into it too much.
Yeah.
But I think they're very, very talented. Love their guards. The concern there is that they're freshmen, but they have the SEC is a little bit. It's not as good as last year, so they have an opportunity there. I mean, yeah, really, no SEC team has stood out as head and shoulders above everyone. Even Bama was the initial, but they've dropped some games and haven't looked good in the games they've lost. Auburn's not the same. Tennessee has the Houston win, but they have some losses. So really, I mean, Arkansas could win that conference.
Mm-hmm.
No, yeah, I agree with you. They have the talent to do it. I'm really a big fan of their guards. Like Darian Acuff is really, really solid. So I'm excited to see where Arkansas goes in the SEC. Again, the SEC is really talented, so we'll see where they stack up. But yeah, they're looking really, really solid right now.
Yeah, pretty much you guys said it all. Look pretty dangerous, super talented. Looks like they're hitting their stride. So yeah, I won't get too much into it, but yeah, you guys pretty much said it all. Now we're moving on to teams trending downwards. Kind of touched upon it a little bit earlier with our ACC talk. But NC State, past couple of weeks, they've lost to Auburn on the road, and they lost to Kansas yesterday at home. Currently 7-4, 37th in the net, 29th in Torvik, and 28th in KenPom. 1-4 in quad 1 and 2 games. What are your guys' thoughts so far in NC State, and what is your score from 1 through 10 on the panic scale?
I'll let Evan lead here.
I would say probably maybe like a 6, maybe. I think they're kind of looking to panic a little bit. But yeah, they faced Kansas and they're what was it? Oh my gosh, I'm just like so lost. Hold on.
Melvin Council legacy
Yeah,
game.
Melvin Cancel legacy game.
Yeah.
Oh man. That was rough for them. So I don't know how they're gonna come back with that, but they're
Right.
like you said on the rundown, 1-4 in quad 1, 2 games, which isn't great if you're
Right.
looking at a resume to look for in March. So hopefully they can pick it up. But yeah, I'm kind of getting a little bit iffy on them right now. But you can't do much when you have someone who is 27% from the 3-point line shooting 9 threes and making them. So
Right.
yeah.
That does suck. I mean, that was like their big opportunity for like a big non-con win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Ant. That was the one where you're never gonna say anything's a must win this early in the year, but for them to that was their last non-conference
Right.
opportunity, really. And so losing that one in overtime sucks for them. It's at home. That's when you want to have. That's just a great opportunity for a big win. I would say on the panic scale, I'm on like a 6.5. I'm between. I think you're having 6 and at 7. And but they have time to get right. They're favored in their next like the first like they're favored in the next 7 games, at least on Torvik. And so if they can use that as just get right spots going into conference play, they have a stretch from January 31st through their Duke game on March 2nd, where they have 9 games and 8 of them are quad 1s. And then the other one is a quad 2. So that's going to be their make or break it month, really, is the month of February. And so I think if you're NC State, you're focused on, not taking any bad losses before then. All their losses are quality losses. They just haven't gotten the quality wins. There will be the opportunities for that, but they need to get things figured out before then, so they have time to take advantage of that slate.
Right. I agree with you guys. I went 7 on the panic scale. I think we pretty much mentioned it. Leaving conference play with non-conference play with no really big statement wins is kind of concerning. And I think, like we said, it just attests to, Maui kind of maybe derail their season a bit, but now all they can do is really bounce back, and I think they're really talented. They have a great coach. So hopefully they do bounce back. They got to bounce back in conference play. That's their real opportunity. Moving on to the Big 12, a Big 12 team, Cincinnati. The last couple of weeks they lost to Xavier, their in-state rival, on the road, and then they just lost to Georgia on a neutral site. Currently 6-4, 128th in the net, 77th in Torvik, 83rd in KenPom. No quad 1 or 2 wins. They have a quad 4 loss to Eastern Michigan at home. Thoughts on Cincinnati, and what is your score 1 through 10 on the panic scale?
I'm gonna keep it alive. I'm gonna keep it a buck. This team is cooked. They're pretty cooked. Chopped
It
cheddar.
doesn't.
Um, yeah, I'm gonna say 10, like you said on here, Anthony. They're not that good offensively, and I don't have any faith in this team, to be honest.
Yeah. I think where they went wrong is they employ Kirk Risa.
It's,
They
Yeah.
are fascinating because they are sixth in college basketball and adjusted defensive
Yeah.
efficiency.
Um,
Six.
that's
And we're looking at where they have like less than 1% chance of making the tournament.
yeah.
I mean, sub 200 and offensive efficiency, which yeah, so you find the middle there, and you're not a top 100 team.
Yeah.
I think they're cooked. They would need to steal some major
Right.
wins to get back into the bubble picture.
Yeah.
Just having a quad four weighing you down, you don't do anything in non. You just make life so much harder. If you're in the Big 12, you want to have a good non-conference so you have room for error in the Big 12 because it's brutal, and
Mhm.
they just are not allowing themselves any of that. And so yeah, I think they're cooked. I would be absolutely stunned if they find a way to get into the bubble conversation. And I guess their defense is great, so you can.
Right.
The thing with having a great defense, it's hard for teams to blow you out.
Mhm.
You would think they got blown out by Georgia, but overall, and it's hard to blow teams out. So you lend yourself to a lot of close games, and
Mhm.
that leads to a lot of volatile scores, like losing to Eastern Michigan. But then they probably will pick off. They're gonna really hurt a Big 12 team later down the line, who's gonna lose depending on where they are at in that could be like a quad three at home if they drop it. Like so they're one that other Big 12 teams won't look forward to playing
Mhm.
because it's such a high risk, low reward game given where they sit overall. But I think they're cooked.
No, I agree with you guys. It's crazy how like they're like you said, like they're the top 10 in like a lot of defensive metrics, but then like they're like so bad offensively. I went 10 on the panic scale. Um, the only really opportunity left in the non-con state slate is against Clemson on the 21st. That's pretty much it. And like you said, the Big 12 is a gauntlet, so I think things could maybe spiral for Cincinnati in the next couple of months, unfortunately. But maybe it's a good thing. I've seen on Twitter Cincinnati fans, not the biggest fan, their head coach. So, I saw, dude, there was like his press conference. It was like a scrum, because they were playing like in the Hawk Stadium.
Hmm.
So it was like a scrum. So they're like, in the hallway. It was just so funny. Wes Miller was just looking like they were like, "Is he like hostage?" Like he was just so defeated. He was just like, it's like, yeah, it's not looking
Oh.
good for Cincinnati, but not looking good. Moving on to another team. I don't know, trending down, but they are on a three-game losing streak. Tennessee, they do have, and compared to these other teams, they have a really impressive win, at least in the non-con slate. They beat Houston in the Players era, but on a three-game skid right now. Most recently they lost to Syracuse on the road, and then they lost to Illinois on a neutral site. Currently 7-3, 36 in the net, 18th in Torvik and Ken Palm. They are 1-3 in quad 1 and 2 games. The only win coming over Houston. What are your thoughts on Tennessee and like I said, 1 through 10 on the panic scale?
for Tennessee, I put a 6, 7 maybe, but I think I'm leaning maybe closer to a 6. Yeah, they're facing some challenges. Like you said, they're on a 3-game losing streak. After beating Houston, which was a very
Mhm.
impressive win, but now they're on a 3-game losing streak, so it looks like they just put all their effort into that game. Let's see how they respond in the SEC. And if I had to give them an outlook right now, the SEC is a pretty deep conference, like we mentioned. Right now, I could see them honestly like a middle of the pack squad, maybe like top middle of the pack squad.
Right.
Um, as of now, but yeah, hopefully Nate Ahmet and company and Gillespie can pick it up for Volunteers and Rick Barnes.
I'm not super worried. I put them at like a 4 on my panic scale. Yeah, they lost 3 in a row, but um, you know, Syracuse was by 2 points, Kansas was by 5, and like Illinois, they lost by a decent amount, but Illinois is legit. I think the reason I'm low on their panic meter is because they have a lot of opportunities, and the Houston win does enough, and not they haven't taken any
Right.
bad loss. And the Houston win does enough. In the non-conference, like that's the win you needed. They do have another shot with Louisville coming up, but the SEC, it's very deep, but it's not top heavy. I don't like.
Mhm.
There's Bama. I would put Tennessee up there, and Arkansas.
Florida.
Florida hasn't looked great though.
Yeah, they haven't
Auburn
really.
is,
Yeah.
so there's an opportunity for Tennessee
Mhm.
where, especially when you show the potential, they can beat a Houston. Like
Right.
Tennessee has a chance to, if they correct it, whatever is going wrong, to
Mhm.
really compete for the SEC title. And so that's why I think I'm low on their panic scale because Rick Barnes is experienced enough. He's had Tennessee in SEC championship conversations, and I think he's won the SEC. He's definitely won the SEC regular season title before. I think probably that Kennedy Chandler team with Dalton Connect, but um, yeah. So I'm not too worried. They have opportunities ahead, and they haven't done anything dramatically bad to hurt like their resume. So I think four.
Right. I agree with you guys. I think I went 6, but maybe like that could be like a 5 or 6. But yeah, got a big win against Louisville, but that win over Houston's doing a lot of heavy lifting. But I don't know. It's weird because that was a super impressive win, and then to follow that up with a 3-game skid. It's interesting, but um, I think they gotta improve offensively. I think that was the one of the things that we said. They just are not great offensively, but they are great defensively. So like they're prone to some of these losses, like we saw against Syracuse. But got a big one against Louisville. That's a big one to get a big non-con win before conference play begins. But like you guys mentioned it, SEC, it's pretty open in that top half, and they should finish there. With the history of their program, the consistency that Rick Barnes has got in there. But not too panicked, but they got to turn it around. Moving on to another team, a Big East team, Creighton. Um, Most recently, they lost to Nebraska, and then yesterday they lost to Kansas State at home. Currently 5-5, 110th in the net, 67th in Torvik, and 72nd in Ken Palm. 0-5 in quad 1 and 2 games. What are your thoughts on Creighton? And what's your score from 1 through 10 on the panic scale?
I think this team's pretty chopped too. I'm not gonna lie. Um, yeah, I don't think Creighton's gonna do a whole lot in the Big Ten. I mean, they lost. They got absolutely dismantled by
Yeah,
Gonzaga when they played them,
yeah.
and then you have UConn and St. John's in your conference who can damn near probably do the same thing to them when they play them. So yeah, I'm so like cooked on this squad. It's 10 and above with this squad. So I have no faith in Creighton this year.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think I'm 10 as well. I think they're cooked. I think the Big East, because of how the conference is this year, so Creighton gets both St. John's and UConn twice. And those are your chances for big wins. They can beat St. John's at home. Maybe UConn is significantly better than this team. It would take a UConn poor performance to lose to Creighton, regardless of where the game is. And then to outside of like that, you don't have a chance. You have a chance for like some good wins, but you can go at Villanova or
Mhm.
at Seton Hall, but like that's not like a resume defining win. And those are also teams that are better than Creighton, and so I think the odds of winning enough of those games are low. I think there's just not enough opportunity to build their resume. 5-5, a sub 100 in the net, like you said, recovering from that it's going to be challenging. I think they are cooked. I think they missed on the portal class, and that's going to
Yeah.
happen. I think Freeman hasn't been what they expected. He hasn't been bad, but I think they built around him like he was going to be like their best player, one of
Mhm.
the best players in the conference. He has not been that. He could turn into that,
Yeah.
but it might be too late.
Right. Yeah. They're very tough to like follow a season up where you lose like a guy like Ron Kalkbrenner, Stephen Ashworth,
Hmm.
Jemiah. And then I think I went more conservative. I went 7. I just think
Wow.
like you said, they're saving Grace's conference play because like they're no real statement wins in the non-con. And the biggest thing too is like all their losses, like they've gotten like mainly blown out, which is not great. But Big East is open this year. Maybe if they can rattle off a couple wins to begin conference play, give them positive momentum, maybe things could turn their way. But yeah, they not looking good for Creighton. Moving on to our next segment, we're gonna preview some games this upcoming week. Kind of touched upon Tennessee a little bit, but Louisville versus Tennessee. Um, you know, Tennessee want to hang their hat on defensive end. Louisville, high octane offense. What are your guys' thoughts on this game?
Where's this game at?
This game is at Tennessee.
Tennessee needs this one. I
They
will
do.
say we were
Yeah.
just talking about them. You need to get a big win at home, and so I think that's what's
I
important
think I'm
for
gonna go
us.
with
Is
Tennessee.
Tennessee
I
needs
think
this.
they're gonna get that big win against Louisville. I think they really
I like
are. I don't
Tennessee
think
as
they're gonna
well.
drop. Is this their next game?
hmm
So they'd be on a 4-game losing streak if they lost. Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go Tennessee.
I agree. I think Tennessee needs it. Needs some guys to step up. It's an interest like blend of styles here. These teams do not play very similarly at all, and I think that will be interesting to see which style prevails. I think Tennessee's going to want to try to slow Louisville down. If they can do that, I think that works in their favor. They have to be careful not to get sped up and just play their game. But the big opportunity, I think Tennessee really needs this one.
Right. I think you guys pretty much said it all. Tennessee really needs it. Gonna be interesting to see how they try to contain Louisville's offense. I don't think they really faced like an up-tempo team yet, but big opportunity at home. We'll see. Moving on. Kentucky and St. John versus St. John's. Talk about really big opportunities. This for both teams. This is a really big opportunity. Um, who do you think gets it done in this one?
I think St. John's is gonna beat Kentucky. I'm getting worried about Kentucky, man. I don't know what's going on with them, but yeah, they haven't looked the greatest. So I think St. John's gets this one done.
Kentucky just beat Indiana, though. So
Yeah.
This is tough. I mean, neither like St. John's, their only quality win
These are
so
like
far is
two
that
like pretty
neutral site over
underperforming
Baylor.
teams right now.
right.
Correct. So I think they both need this too, and this is a chance for one of them to correct and get the season back turned around. You mentioned Kentucky just beat Indiana. If they can build on that win and stack more momentum, that's really what they're looking for. And St. John's, they killed Iona, and then they beat Ole Miss, and Ole Miss is solid. It was a close game, but I think I lean Kentucky here. I think Pope's group has a little more urgency. I think you could tell after some of these press conferences, he cares a lot. He knows that entire state cares a lot. St. John's, Rick Pitino cares. And they do have a fan base, but nothing compares to. I mean that entire state is they walk that team, if they walk into a restaurant or a bowling alley or whatever, like the restaurants are standing up and clapping. Like it's different down there. Pope understands that. I think if he hasn't already, I think his players are starting to understand that. And I like Kentucky here to get a big win. This is big for both of them. This is can really affect the momentum going to conference play for these two teams.
Right. Definitely, I agree. It's a really big one for both teams. Interested to see how Kentucky handles St. John's. Just firepower. They're so talented. Should be an interesting one. Neutral site, so we'll see. But really interesting. Like I said, both teams, really big opportunity for both teams to really catapult their season, get some positive momentum before conference play. Next one, Arkansas versus Houston. Arkansas, obviously looked really good. They've just beat Texas Tech. Houston, they've really bounced back after their loss to Tennessee. What are you guys' thoughts on this one?
Where is this one at?
This one is at like a neutral site, so it's in New
Yes.
Jersey. Yeah.
It's in Jersey.
Yeah, so really no like
Give me
yeah.
Arkansas.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Houston. So we have a split. So Anthony, you're
do have a split?
the deciding
Whoa.
factor.
Whoa. I think I'd go with Arkansas.
Wow.
But I'm interested to see what
Okay.
you guys think though.
Fun. I'm really excited for
Yeah.
Flemings versus Acuff,
Right.
the fun freshman guards. I think Arkansas is rolling. I wanted them
Yeah.
to be my team of the week, but they were stolen by one. I think.
Yeah.
I think they're rolling. Houston is still figuring things out, and they will get it figured
Right.
out. Houston never is one to really peak in December. That's not a bad thing. But I like Arkansas here. They're supremely talented. Um, Acuff and Malik Thomas versus Fleming is going to be fun
Yeah.
in terms of looking at those really just high impact freshmen. But great
Yeah.
game. I'm really excited for that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same. But I'm gonna have to go with Houston on this one. I just think they're gonna have Arkansas's number in this one. Like you said, Flemings has finally arrived for Houston. He's like really well. You compare him with now Uzan, Sharp, Tugler, Chris Sanak, all those guys. Like they're hoopers, man, and they can hoop. So I think they can get this one done against Arkansas.
Yeah. Should be a really fun one. Kind of contrasting play styles. Interested, like you said, Kingston Flemings versus Acuff is gonna be super fun. Even like Malik Thomas versus like an Emmanuel Sharp or Milos Uzan, that'd be super fun. We'll see. Like you said, Arkansas is really rolling. Should be a good matchup. Moving on to a next and final matchup, Duke versus Texas Tech. Should be a really fun one. Duke, like we said, their front court's has been really their main source of anything so far for them. And Texas Tech, led by JT Toppin and Christian Anderson, that's really their whole team, honestly. But JT Toppin versus Cam Boozer, that's going to be super fun. What are you guys' thoughts on this one?
Man, okay. Is this neutral site or is it?
Let me see.
It is neutral.
Neutral.
I don't know where, but it's neutral.
It's MSG.
MSG. Okay.
It's a bad shooting gym usually. I feel like maybe.
Bad shooting gym. Okay, if Pricco says it's a bad shooting gym, that means they might have to rely on Cameron Bouger even a little bit more. And if that's the case, I don't think they're really going to do a great job. I really think JT Toppin and Anderson could really slow down Cameron Bouger. And I really think that Texas Tech is going to pull this off, and I think they're going to beat Duke at MSG. So I'm picking Texas Tech.
Pricco.
We were just talking about how Duke hasn't blown anyone out the same way as in Michigan, Arizona. I think that changes on December 20th. I think Duke wins by double digits. I think both these teams do over rely on their big on Boozer for Duke and Toppin for Tech. I don't think though Tech is equipped to defensively handle Boozer. Toppin is great, but he's much more gifted offensively than defensively. And I'm very worried about Tech. I think they haven't looked great, and they've been overly reliant on those two players like Anthony mentioned, and until they figure that out, and maybe they do, and maybe somebody steps up and I look like an idiot, but I think until they figure it out, I like Duke by a lot here.
Ooh, I think we're split then, because I think Texas Tech could maybe pull off the upset. I don't know. Toppin versus Boozer, that should be super fun. And Christian Anderson maybe could give some of those Duke guards some fits, but should be really interesting. A really fun matchup between Boozer and Toppin. So yeah, that is it for us. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Now you guys can watch some NFL football. I know Evan is itching to watch the Seahawks.
Yes, sir.
Phillip Rivers.
Lions,
Phillip Rivers. About to watch this shit, man. I'm excited.
Matthew Stafford versus the Lions is happening right now. I think the Lions are up though.
Yes, sir. But that'll be it for us. Appreciate you guys for tuning in, and that's On the Bubble.
Peace.